West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on Wood Radio.
Oh, welcome in. Whether you're listening on the radio, News Radio with 1300 and 106.9 FM, or behind the scenes on the live stream at Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Getter, YouTube, all the usual places. We appreciate you being here with us this morning. Lots to discuss. A little bit of a newsworthy evening yesterday. Of course, we got debate coverage from here in Michigan, Pennsylvania, all throughout the country in races that are heating up. We're going to get to all of that. Plus, Tudor Dixon challenging Governor Gretchen Whitmer here in Michigan, holding your feet to the fire, holding her accountable last night in debate. We'll get to all of her coming up at 9:35.
News, weather, and traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now, today's Big Three.
The stories that matter most, you'll be talking about these around the water cooler, dinner table. No matter where you are, these are those stories. They're all powered by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage. You know, folks, I have been warning you, telling you it's time to give them a call for, years now. And of course, folks heeding that call, saving thousands like we have. In fact, maybe they can still help you put a little bit more money back in your pocket. How can they do that? They've got custom solutions for everyone. Equity in your home may provide that opportunity. Call Dave Galloway today at 616-974-9105 or get online to the team at hhmlending.com.
Number one.
Final debate between Governor Whitmer and challenger Tudor Dixon taking place last night. I have a couple of observations. I will run past those coming up in just moments today. I did find it kind of interesting. The children were at the top of the conversation last night, preborn and the children that are here with us as we speak, and various different viewpoints on how to move forward, particularly with schools after this governor crippled in a lot of ways our schools, closing them, she said, for only 3 months. A little bit of a stretch in the truth last night from Stretch and Gretchen.
There was a school shooting in Missouri yesterday in a district that had exactly what she just described. One place of entry, armed guards in the school district, and people are dead. We've been trying that for 30 years.
I'll fact check this and say, in fact, it was stopped by police. So a good guy with a gun actually stopped that incident from happening.
It's not working. It is time to try proven policies, background checks, secure storage, red flag laws. I'm not talking about hunting. I'm just trying to keep our kids and communities safe. Ask yourself, who's going to keep your kids safe? The former prosecutor with plans or the candidate with thoughts and prayers?
Well, folks, it is sad, but again, you see a Democrat, particularly this one, attacking Christians and people of faith, and in such a sad way. I think the choice is clear this year, what we're facing, who you're facing. Dixon said last night, I will put parents over politics every time. And I thought to myself, what a statement. Where we find ourselves with these two choices. We'll talk to Dixon coming up at 9:35. As far as the debate, love to hear from you. Who do you think won? Did it sway your vote at all? I have some thoughts on this too. We'll talk about that coming up. Getting into the conversation, a New York court on Monday ordering the reinstatement of New York City employees fired for being unjabbed, and that they be jabbed, or they be rehired rather, and paid with back pay. Following the court's ruling, appeal was filed. Of course, you can imagine that would happen as well. The court granting a petition against Democrat New York City Mayor Eric Adams and other city officials and departments, saying the citywide mandate requiring public employees to get the jab, the Fauci ouchie, the hokey pokey, as a condition of their employment, while later exempting athletes and performers, was arbitrary and capricious. And I also add hypocritical. There was another debate last night in Pennsylvania for the Senate seat left open by retiring Senator Pat Toomey, taking place between Dr. Oz and John Fetterman, and it was sad. During the debate, Fetterman's delivery at times was halting and repetitive, according to reports, dropping words during answers and occasionally losing his train of thought. He's currently, they say, recovering from a stroke he suffered. That's if he will fully recover. His opening line last night was very strange. It was simply, "Hi, everybody. Good night." Is that really what happened? No, I had to watch this myself, and I got to tell you, if you do see this, it's kind of tough to watch. For me, I feel really bad for the guy, and I just question anybody that would even allow him to participate in this run.
As lieutenant governor, you're running for a seat that could decide the balance of power in Washington. What qualifies you to be a U.S. senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody.
We say what? This guy wants to go to Washington, D.C. and be a senator. There's more. I've got a few more clips. We'll get into those as we board the crazy train. That's what it feels like these days. Oh, there's never a shortage. There's never a dull moment. Lots to talk about. It's the fastest hour in radio. Ladies and gentlemen, strap in. Here we go. Oh, it does. It feels like we're like in an upside down world. I watched the debate last night, and I happened to be able to I watch it, and actually it was in a setting with a group of people, and I could, it was tough to hear for me at times because, with more people talking, and sometimes, my hearing, because of, you work in radio and you get these loud headphones on and everything else, our hearing tends to not be the greatest. So, but I actually got a glimpse at something that I thought was even more powerful. It's one thing to hear what they say, and I went back and I watched a little bit more of it, but it's one thing to hear what they say. It's a whole nother thing to watch their body language. And I'm just curious, maybe you picked up on some of this last night too. But I would say, out of everything that I was able to witness last night, the two things that I noticed between Whitmer and Dixon were this. Whitmer was at first very smug. Did you notice the facial expressions? Did you notice the body language? The smirks, the eye rolls, very smug. Almost as if this idea of debating anyone really, and let's be honest, what it really is all about and boils down to is the idea of having to answer to anyone for anything. That she would have to make her case to you at all. The Wolverine Queen shouldn't have to go to the people and beg to keep her job. No, she's used to, at least for the last several years, is just making decrees from on high. And her word was law, at least in her mind. Until the Michigan Supreme Court had to come out, the state Supreme Court had to come out and say, yeah, no, this is not how this works. You can't do this. But she was very smug. And I will say that the beginning of the debate started a little slower. This topic of abortion, I think, deliberately put up front. Nobody really, and let's just, when I say this, I mean the independent, the average regular Joe right now, yeah, they might care about this topic, but really what they're more impressed with is the economy. It's the cost of everything. It's Bidenflation. It's how much it costs to fill up your tank and your belly, and your kids as well. That's what people are really more concerned with. Wait a minute. How much was our heat bill? How much was the electric bill this month? What's it costing me to drive to work and back every day? By the way, have you been watching the cost of diesel? It ain't over yet, folks. Bidenflation continues to climb. Don't let them tell you that it won't. They're trying to sweep all of this under the rug just in time for the election. So we're a little under 2 weeks away now. And the truth is what is most important on most people's minds are these issues of the economy. They are the issues of the crime. And importantly, here in Michigan, it is the issue of our children, protecting them, stopping this insanity that they're pushing on kids in schools and getting back to the basics. Listen, our test scores have dropped dramatically. Quit pushing this sexual stuff on our kids, trying to sexualize them, push porn in their faces at schools. It's uncalled for. None of this, and it's evil. None of this. I don't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants to see this happen to their kids. So it was a very interesting night last night because once we moved past the abortion topic, where I think Whitmer probably felt most comfortable because that's what they're wanting this to be all about, this election. Folks on the left, Democrats, more than anything, want this election to be all about abortion. And it's just not. Now, we have some very radical proposals. In fact, Whitmer lied about those last night as well. She's very comfortable. I told you she was smug, and at one point she turned angry, but she's very comfortable with one thing, and that's lying to you. She's very comfortable with lying to the public and to the people. She's been doing it for years now. She's been doing it. She's had the media in her pocket. Nobody's ever called her out on it. That's why she got angry, because when Tudor Dixon did push back, when she did call her out, yeah, she got a little testy. Dixon says, I'll put parents over politics every day. Another big point last night as we watched what we just saw, this latest about the jab and the news out of New York, where a judge has ruled that people that were fired for not taking it when they were mandated to, the latest rulings come out that they should be reinstated, and of course they ought to be compensated. In other words, they ought to pay these people, give them back pay for what they experienced. You know, last night we heard more about this, and I thought a very, I think it's a perfect timing for this. But the CDC has come out talking about recommending kids get the jab to go to schools, and that decision would be made at the state level. Of course, Whitmer says she would never do that. You know, can we trust her as far as we can throw her? What we've seen in the last couple of years. Dixon makes the point, not on my watch.
So this is our last question. I have to read it very quickly. Last week, the CDC recommended adding COVID-19 vaccines to the recommended immunization schedule for both children and adults next year. Got to be very adamant about this. This is not a mandate. This was a recommendation. This happens every single year. So as governor of Michigan, do you take them up on that recommendation and make sure that COVID-19 vaccination be required for school attendance, Mrs. Dixon?
Yeah, I want to be very clear about this. This is a parent's decision. There will never be a mandate for the COVID-19 vaccine for children to go to school in a Dixon administration. I'm anxious to hear what Gretchen Whitmer has to say, because she was forcing the vaccine on people. You remember her program, Vax to Normal? You could only get your liberties and freedoms back if you got your neighbor vaccinated. She will likely push this on your children. I want you to know that I will never push the COVID-19 vaccine on your children. That is your choice, and it will always be your choice as long as I am your governor.
Another big score for parental rights in that case, where we see Prop 3 on the ballot. They are saying that you as a parent would no longer have parental rights. She lied about that last night. Whitmer continued in her lie this morning again on this radio station when she spoke with our morning show. Steve Kelly on West Michigan's Morning News, lying again, saying, no, that's not what Prop 3 is all about. It's all about Roe versus Wade. No, it's very extreme. It's extremely radical, in fact. Prop 3 would take away parental rights for all medical treatment with your kids. In other words, the government can step in and tell you what should and shouldn't happen. And yes, the government can mandate treatments. The government can come in and tell you. In fact, somebody could take your kid and get an abortion or get some sort of crazy sterilization or radical, wild medical treatment, gender. Who knows? And you would never know about it as a parent. The contrast again last night was obvious. We have a governor who is finally being held accountable for everything that she's done to this state. She was smug and angry. Cool, calm, and collected, in fact, was her challenger and opponent, Tudor Dixon, last night. In fact, we'll talk to her. 9:35 this morning. Recapping more. And yeah, there was another debate last night, too. Oz and Fetterman in PA. And you talk about wild. Holy smokes. Just unthinkable that this man would be allowed to run. Well, we'll take your calls, too. We'll get into it all coming up.
Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
This is a Money Minute with Gary Mattson and Laurel Stewart of Mattson Financial Services. So much is changing.
All right, folks. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I will say good morning to a few folks in here. Linda, how are you? Paula, Laura, Chill, Sherry, Barbara, Bruce, Kelly, Ruth, and so many others over on Rumble. Rumble. Nancy, good to see you too. Terry, Roxanne, Mary Kay, Stop PC, Lady Blah Blah, Andrew Stuff, good to see you, brother. Getter, Satanya, Flatlander, Additive, Anna Kay, Mickey, and many, many more. We are rolling. Lots of folks joining the conversation. Bum. All right, folks. Let me get into Can I get into the talkbacks? It may have timed out. Let's see. Okay. Back on the air momentarily here, folks. Here we go.
News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Hey, jump on the phone and join us at any time at 616-774-2424. And talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app as well. We'd love to hear from you. Just click the microphone next to the play button there and sound off. Rant, rave, ask a question. It's all for the folks at MKD Funeral Homes. Here it was last night, Tudor Dixon.
I will put parents over politics. I will put students over systems.
I love that. I think that was a great line. And I got to tell you, watching debates is tough because a lot of people asking this, but do you think that these debate performances, I think they traditionally, unless there's some sort of major malfunction from a candidate, like one we saw last night, Oz and Fetterman. Do you think they really make that big of a difference? And that's a good question. I'm not sure. In this particular race in the governor, I think a lot of people have their minds made up. But last night, watching Fetterman and Oz, I think it was strange enough.
U.S. Senator, you have 60 seconds.
Listen to this. This is the beginning.
Good night, everybody.
Hi, good night, everybody. Oof. It's almost, like I said, it's tough to watch. It's tough to watch it all. Fetterman struggling to get to an answer on fracking last night. Did you see any of that? You're trying to make heads or tails of what exactly he was talking about last night in the debate for Pennsylvania's Senate race. Now, before he said that he supports or he does not support fracking. Now he's trying to, I guess, change his tune there. Last night, I can't really make out exactly what he was saying altogether at all, but take a listen.
Support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
I'm sorry. Now I'm not exactly sure what his answer was there. I'm not exactly sure what he said. I don't know if he's sure what he said. But the bigger picture is this man is trying to run for Senate in Pennsylvania. I think that conversation moved the needle for a lot of folks. In fact, we've got some TV audio, people watching the debate, and their responses, I think, may have shocked some of the folks watching last night. We'll get to all of it coming up. Checking our news first. Tudor Dixon joins us coming up at 9:35 as well this morning on West Michigan Live. Oh, stand by, folks. We had a little bit of a lighting malfunction in the studio today. The light, which we've got rigged up in here because somebody broke it in the studio. We got it rigged up with duct tape, and it fell off. I might just have to get some more duct tape in here. You know, duct tape fixes almost everything. All right, let's see what we do here. Maybe this will at least fix it for this show, and then we'll have to readdress this coming up. All right, if you're just tuning in and you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Getter, YouTube, no matter where you are, please click follow, click like, click share. But make sure you do stay in touch with us because with these platforms, you never know. We just never know what they're going to do. Got some phone calls coming in. Let me see what I got on the line here. Grab those calls. Christian said, as a stroke survivor, this was very hard to watch last night. I know what that speech confusion feels like, and I have since recovered in a very minimal residual impact. I know every situation is different, but it is definitely is hard to focus, and you can get very confused with short-term memory loss when the speech confusion happens, and that is not someone who should be running. Well, and listen, I know folks in radio here locally that have had those strokes and they've lost their careers. And it's something that I don't take for granted because I talk for a living. And as you talk and you talk so much, sometimes when you just get tired, the things that you're saying don't quite make as much sense as you're trying to say, or you may be thinking about how to say something and it doesn't really come out as you'd like it to. So I understand. I just, that's why watching it, it's really painful to watch, but also necessary. And my question is, who's been okay with this guy running? Who's been okay with it? It's just his wife hasn't stepped in and said, well, wait a second. What exactly is going on? Why would anybody allow this to happen? I don't know why they just wouldn't have tried to replace him. I guess he won a primary, but why wouldn't somebody from the Democrat Party just go to him and say, look, we got to have somebody who can fog a mirror here, folks. We got to have. But then again, another point that folks are making in the chat here is these are people who are okay with Biden being resident. I mean, the guy is challenged in his own ways and clearly not there. Who's voting for the guy? Yeah, good question. Who is voting for that? Right. Yeah, the debate is online. You can find it if you go to YouTube or any number of places. I'll put it up on our stack today, too, if you want to see the debate, the full debate. Man, I'm getting the Christian hate today. The hate is strong on Twitter. I pointed out on Twitter earlier that this whole attacking Christians, the thoughts and prayers comments, it's not just Whitmer. This is a common thing. Nestle has done it. Democrats continue to do this. And by the way, I will tell you, it's going to cost them. Because in Dearborn, 1,300 people stood up. People stood up, and they said, "Not on my watch, not in my town. This pornography won't be peddled to our kids in schools." It was an uprising of Muslims, Christians, and Jews. They stood together in unity. Democrats cannot bear that. And they've got quite a problem on their hands. Quite a problem on their hands. Hang on, folks. Got to jump back into the live on the radio. Tudor Dixon joins us coming up in just moments as well. Hang on. Welcome in News Radio 1300, 1069 FM. It's Justin Barkley back on. And of course, you can join the conversation at any time. You join in at 616-774-2424. Lots of conversation on around this morning. The Whitmer debate with Tudor Dixon yesterday. Let me find line 2. Joe, was it Jesse? It was Jesse. Jesse, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Did you watch the debate last night?
I caught most of it. I thought Tudor Dixon did really well. A couple of things that I wish she would have spoke on more was the pay to play. Gretchen Whitmore has in her administration for the lockdowns and then taking trips to Florida and outliving her best life. And also, I think I'm a little active in social media, and all the people in my little small circle, they want more Republicans to touch on the subject of corruption. These people, they line their pockets with taxpayer dollars. They get rich and fat off of the working man and woman. And I think the government has just lost all control of integrity and morals and values all the way on. And I believe if they added a little more investigating corruption and they could play politics, it would really speak to a lot of the people, because we're out here working our butts off and they're sitting back in mansions and living the life paid for and funded by us. And it's just not right.
That's, by the way, Jesse, you're right. That's 10% for the big guy. That's that's all this money going to Ukraine right now. People are trying to figure out what the heck is happening. Yeah, I think you got a good point. This is all part of the swamp, and we're dealing with it. First rule of order is to get Whitmer out of office so we can clean these things up. Now, folks, I got to tell you, I'm not gonna pretend we can snap our fingers. It's going to be done. Thank you for the call, Jesse. That it's going to be done in no time. I mean, Trump couldn't even do it in the 4 years he was there. It is going to be a constant battle. But the first step is getting out and voting and making sure that your voice matters. Speaking of representing that voice, she kind of has been able to do that on the phone with us, holding the feet to the fire again last night. Tudor Dixon joins us fresh off the debate with Gretchen Whitmer. Good morning.
because you gave them $400 that actually she had no control over.
Tudor Dixon joins us right now. The second and final debate last night against Governor Gretchen Whitmer. You're seeing the polls move quite a bit. It's fascinating to watch. In fact, people write about this, and they're really coming, looks like, into order with where they should have been all along. And they're probably still behind, I would say, a little bit as well, particularly because of what we're seeing. And I know you're seeing everywhere you go. You were out this weekend, almost 1,000 people at an apple orchard coming out. And this is not just about politics. This is about parents who, and you made that point last night, who are standing up and saying, you know what, enough is enough. We want to take our state back. We want to protect our kids. We want to do everything that we can, and we've got to get in this fight.
And it's not even that. People are looking to leaders that they can trust today. There's been so much mistrust in the past 4 years during the COVID pandemic. People didn't know what was true and what was false. And here she is when we're at the point where we're moving into the next phase, to the next term, and she's lying directly on the debate stage. She couldn't be honest with the Michigan people. And I think that's a big deciding factor for people right now. If you're going to lie to my face, why should I trust you with another 4 years? And let's not forget that on the debate stage in 2018, the promises that she made, she didn't keep. She was lying then. She's openly lying now with a smile on her face while she does it. And we're talking about the well-being of our own children when she lies to the people of Michigan. We're fed up. We don't want politicians. We want real people to come in and lead and make decisions as to how to bring the state back, how to get money back into the pockets of people, how to fight this fentanyl crisis and have serious support of our law enforcement and get our kids back on track.
Yeah, the main issues that people are facing and that they say are the most important when we look across the country right now, people answering polls are doing focus groups, even mainstream news. CBS was doing a focus group the other day with some folks, and they were surprised to hear that a lot of Republicans and Democrats agreed mostly on what the issues were and what we're facing right now. These are no-brainers. It's not about Republican or Democrat right now. It's really about doing the right thing versus doing the wrong thing. It's common sense, restoring sanity. And it seems like, Tudor Dixon, it seems like you stand for that, and you're the person who's kind of leading the charge here in Michigan.
Well, it's a matter of listening. And we've had parents across the state saying, gosh, we're concerned about this woke agenda in our schools. We're concerned about these radical books in our schools that are teaching sex. And last night she came out and openly admitted that she's not concerned about these, that she's not going to do anything about these books in school. And she even said, Tudor Dixon is more concerned with books than gun violence. No, I'm concerned about both. And I think we legitimately have to be concerned about both. And the fact that she thinks that that parents are coming out and talking about one of those issues is not important is exactly the reason that she should not be the person who is leading the state, because she is not willing to hear what people across the state are concerned about.
I know you've got a big schedule. In fact, you continue as you have to pound the pavement, make the rounds and meet people. Folks can find out more at tudordixon.com. But I know you're going to be out throughout the state in the coming days over and over and over again. And I know you'd like to meet people. You'd like to get a yard sign into some hands, shake those hands and see folks, especially if folks are on the fence on some of these things. I know you enjoy having those conversations and you're looking forward to that.
Absolutely. I can't wait to meet more people on the campaign trail and hear what they need to see in Michigan in the next 4 years.
Tudor Dixon, thanks again for joining us today. Another big debate performance. It was round 2 last night. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
We continue on, folks. You can join the conversation at any time on the phone. We've got a conversation coming up with someone who's running for school board. Remember we told you about the mural in Grant causing a stir with parents there? This is crazy. Sexualization of the kids continues. We'll talk about that mural coming up, and somebody running for school board in that position wants to put a stop to it all. We'll get the latest in an update, all coming up in just moments right here. Hey, sorry for the audio issues, folks. Looks like there was just a button on our end that needed to be pushed, and we apologize for that. Phone calls still coming through loud and clear. We'll get those coming on the way as well. Plus, if you want to get in on the talkback feature, you can press that on the iHeartRadio app and sound off. Okay. We got an after show coming up today, too. We get into all of that. Let's listen to some of these, preview some of the audio.
Justin, my friend said yesterday that there are litter boxes in the halls of Kennewick Hills High School.
Oh, my goodness. Wow, wow, wow.
Good morning. I am a Dixon supporter, although politicians all lie. You don't think Tudor was lying when she said she had 5 flat tires?
I could not understand what that guy was saying. Looks like Harmon. I'm not sure if you're listening right now. It was kind of muffled. I couldn't understand that last part. Litter boxes in schools, folks. Did you hear that part? Holy smokes. Hang on. Here we go. We're getting live back on the air.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Detroit area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Offices in Troy and Ann Arbor. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Wood Radio, 96.1 The Game, and Meyer are looking to recognize outstanding high school senior student athletes in the West Michigan area. Nominate a senior athlete today in a fall sport at woodradio.com.
The talkback button is happening right now. Folks are weighing in at the iHeartRadio app. Just click that microphone and sound off.
Justin, my friend said yesterday that there are litter boxes in the halls of Kennewick Hills High School for students that identify as cats. Can you or your listeners confirm this?
I have heard that, but I have not seen those litter boxes and would not surprise. It just wouldn't surprise me anymore. Nothing does these days, and I shouldn't be laughing, but you either laugh or cry. What we're seeing happening in our schools is just absolutely unthinkable. Ken Thorne is here with us right now. He wants to run as a school board rep there in one of the members in Grant. And Ken, I know recently there's been some controversy over a mural that was painted by a high school student in a middle school there in Grant. And it's promoting trans ideology, LGBTQ ideology. There's a devil with horns on the thing. Parents have asked questions about it, and I think they ought to have a right to ask questions about these things. I mean, there constantly seems to be this agenda to push things on kids when really we should be focusing on, their test scores and things like that. Teaching them how to think, not what to think. There's a novel idea. Ken, appreciate you joining us this morning. How are you?
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate you having me on.
So when I first heard this story, I said, Grant? Out of all places. I just can't imagine. But you guys are facing it too, aren't you?
We are. The one school board meeting that I had to miss, unfortunately, so I was not there at that meeting. I saw the reports on the news and such. I don't know enough of the detail necessarily around how the mural became painted on the wall. It's actually on the wall in a health clinic that is in the middle school. And I don't know what the contest was or what the premise behind the contest was. My bigger concern, honestly, is that people are blaming this child for this. And, we're the adults. We shouldn't be blaming a child for this. People are taught these things. And who would have thought that just, a couple of years ago, I would have never thought that we would have been having some of these conversations about what is going on in the schools around the country. And I pray that this stuff isn't in this little town of Grant, but, there's obviously hints of it here.
Well, I don't know if have you seen the mural itself, Ken?
I have not seen the mural in person. I have seen pictures of the mural, and I've seen a picture of the original rendering of the mural. The mural that was painted is different than the original rendering. There are a lot of different symbols that were added to it, and I believe that really came about because the wall space probably was bigger than what they were anticipating, so there was a lot of empty space. So let's fill it with all these other I'm air quote cute little symbols.
Mm-hmm. There's some strange things, but I will tell you that
there are
some of the things that also I think would be bothersome to parents are depictions of like these little animals and characters in masks and with it appears to be syringes and things like that. Now the fact that it's in a health clinic, I guess that can be explained in some of these ways, but there are some things that are questionable on this mural. What should happen next? And your question was my question at the beginning. Where the heck are the adults here when it comes to these things?
Exactly.
What are the biggest issues you're facing right now? Because you're running for school board there in Grant. I know we're talking to as many candidates as we can in some of these local races, but what do you think? What are the parents talking to you about?
Well, this is kind of different for me because I've lived in the community for over 30 years, and I'm really just now getting involved, so to speak. So, my kids graduated from Grant, and I have 3 grandkids that are currently going to Grant. And when I look at this, and when I'm talking to concerned parents or just folks out and about, I think the bigger thing is don't sit there and tell my kid what they need to believe. That's my job as a parent. And that is my message to people is that the schools should focus on educating our kids. We need to teach them how to critically think, how to read, how to do math, what are fact-based science lessons that they need to listen or that they need to learn. Let's teach them about our system of government and how that actually works.
Ken, I gotta wrap because we just don't have as much time as I'd like to have to spend with you. But if folks want to find out more about you running for school board in Grant, how do they do that?
Well, I'm not doing any social media. I'm not a social media guy. I am going out and I'm actually talking to people, and knocking on doors and such. And so, I did post some stuff on the Grant Gazette Facebook page through my wife's account, but I'm not out there with a big social media presence. I just don't believe in it. I think it's evil.
So how can people get in touch? Would you have them reach out to you on the phone or mail or what?
They can probably they can reach out to me on the phone. That's fine. Area code 616-723-5940. And I've had some people reach out to me through Newaygo County Grassroots website as well.
Okay.
If
they send an email there, I can get that email through them.
Ken, God bless you. Appreciate you stepping up and running. We need more folks like you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
We got a jam-packed after show. We'll get to it, folks. Coming up next, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Getter, YouTube, all of those places. And we continue our 21 Days of Prayer, 2 coming up next. Make it a great day. God bless, folks. Oh, boy. Yeah, we've got never a dull moment, everybody. Never a dull moment. We'll get to everything, I promise you. I'm just looking at some of the responses we're getting right now on Twitter. People are just, I'll talk a little bit about this here in a minute. People are just, what's the word I'm looking for? Delusional? That's probably a good one. Detached from reality. That's another solid one. Hey, Joe, can you thank those guys? Tell them sorry we didn't have a chance to get to everybody today. We appreciate it. I, unfortunately, will not have time to get to the calls on the after show either. But thank you. If you did call in, we appreciate you. Please try back tomorrow. We'll do our best. We got a lot of calls in today. All right. Let me fire up this after show theme song. Welcome into the after show. It is the show after the show. That's why they call it the after show. Oh, yes, folks, you are in the right place. The fastest hour on radio. I just can't imagine. It flies by. It just does. And now here we are. I am front and center on Twitter, taking the heat for defending Christians. Imagine that, defending people of faith and defending Christians. Well, we're under attack. The entire agenda of the left and, of course, the world. Let's just call it the world these days, because it's not really. It's worldly. It's secular. All of that is a religion in itself, and in fact, they get mad when you practice your religion or your faith. But yes, man, when you stand up, they just all come swarming in like fire ants. I'll tell you how I stepped in it, and the fact that I don't mind. Coming up in just a moment. We appreciate you being here with us today. First, we want to thank the folks at preparewithjustin.com. You've heard the latest. 25 days left of the diesel shortages, food, things like that. These are serious times, folks. We never know what may lay ahead. Of course, we are doing our best to make sure we're prepared no matter what. They say maybe Russian nuclear. We don't. Our news is finally reporting a story that I did just the other day, which was the fact that now they're out there talking about, well, there might be a dirty bomb, there might be a false flag, there might be a Russian, attack or something. Now, leading up, we got 2 weeks to this election. I mean, Lord only knows what's going to happen. And we've got a Biden administration who wants to get us closer and closer every day to World War III. Folks, get prepared. It's a hedge on inflation anyway. We've got food in case it ever gets to a point where we can't afford it anymore. We've got a little. Stock up in your cellar. Maybe you buy a little bit extra at the store. Maybe you did some canning, whatever it is. Think about what you might do to get prepared. The folks at My Patriots Supply, go to preparewithjustin.com. They're offering right now, saving $250 on a 3-month food supply or $1,000 off a mega 1-year emergency food supply. 41 different food pouches. They've got all kinds of drinks and from everything from drinks to dessert. They've got it all. and water filtration systems. Think about how you might. Well, I actually got a text message from somebody the other day. So what do we do? How do we prepare if there's a nuclear attack? I said, well, I know I hate to laugh about this, but I mean, I want to have some food on hand. The iodine, they talk about that too, but the other thing is prayer, folks. And we're going to dig deep into that again in our 21 days of prayer. I believe we are on day 9 already. Is that where we are? We continue our days of prayer, and we'll do more of that coming up. Preparewithjustin.com. That's preparewithjustin.com to get ready. No matter what we face, we got to be prepared for ourselves, our families, and many others. So I'm on Facebook because I stepped into it. I didn't do it, folks. Whitmer had made this. Now I'm getting attacked by a guy who has in his bio, all conservatives are fascist trash. Sure. Whitmer had made the comment last night. In fact, she tweeted the thing. It was supposed to be some great dig on people and particularly a dig on Tudor Dixon. And yes, she wants thoughts and prayers. It's time for action on guns and red flag laws. No, I'm not talking about hunting. We know what you're talking about, ma'am. It's not good. You don't think we need these guns for hunting, do you? No. What we need these guns for is protecting ourselves and our families. We saw what you let in the streets. We saw what you let take place in the streets during 2020, the riots and everything that took place. We need to protect ourselves. We need to be able to protect our innocent children. And that is not a crime. Certainly not all about hunting. Anyway, here's her point when she talked about guns. And folks, this is how you know you're over target. This is how you know, because there are comments like this that she has to, at the end, she was smug and angry, revealing all of her character last night, Whitmer, in the debate against Tudor Dixon. Take a listen.
There was a school shooting in Missouri yesterday. District that had exactly what she just described. One place of entry, armed guards in the school district, and people are dead. We've been trying that.
People. Why weren't there more dead? The shooter had an AR-15. Why weren't there more dead? She fails to mention, but she fails to mention this individual was stopped by a good guy with a gun, stopped by a cop. Dixon's point earlier was that we ought to do more to harden the schools. We ought to make sure that we've got good guys with guns there to defend our kids. Now, I don't know, but she's saying that this has failed. Well, it appears to me that gun-free zones are failing, Governor. Gun-free zones are failing. These are soft targets. People are able to attack them without any threat of having any issue of being fired back upon. The cowards go after the soft targets. It's what they're always looking to do. They're looking for somebody that they can attack who won't fight back. Well, she continues to go on and make her point.
For 30 years. It's not working. It is time to try proven policies, background checks, secure red flag laws. I'm not talking about hunting. I'm just trying to keep our kids and communities safe. Ask yourself, who's going to keep your kids safe? The former prosecutor with plans or the candidate with thoughts and prayers?
The attack on Christianity, I see it as that. I know that's what it is because I see it from her and Nessel and folks on the left all the time. They have their own religion. It's the religion of the left, and it's a godless religion. Their God is something completely different. It's wokeism. They worship wokeism. They are bowing to whatever it is, the thing of the day, whatever the current thing is. And when you have a God that you worship, that you put above all of that, they have a real problem with it, because the real truth is, folks, they can't control you. If you have a God, something that you put before anything and everything else of the world, they cannot control you. And truthfully, that's why they're after Christians and people of faith. They're after you because you'll stand up. You'll count the cost and you'll say, you know what? It doesn't matter. Like right now, I'm under attack on Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Just so people realize, Twitter isn't real. It's not real life. Most of the people on Twitter are bots. They're not even really people. And then the actual people are acting in a bot-like way. They're not independently thinking. They're not thinking critically anyway. So I don't mind the attacks, but I am telling you about it because I think it's fascinating. I think it's interesting. And in fact, my tweet was very simple with that video. Why are they constantly attacking Christians and people of faith? I'm sure it's purely innocent. And I got attacked. You should see the attacks that I got for that. Dr. Abdul Al-Sayed, who ran for governor back in 2018, retweeting what I tweeted, bringing more people into the party to respond. Buddy, the worst attack on our faith has come from right-wing zealots like you who still equate people who pray like us with terrorists. You've never believed in religious freedom for people outside your religion. It's why you separated Christians and people of faith. He was upset after I told him, well, the people of Dearborn are seeing an attack on their faith. She's mocking the fact that they're standing up to protect the kids in school. But you know that. That's why you're so sensitive to the issue. That's why you felt the need to respond. Democrats are extreme. It's true. And I'll respond to him later. But what he is saying is absolutely false. And what he is saying is what he's really afraid of. The why he chimed in. And he stepped in it. Muslims, Christians, and Jews came together, 1,300 strong in Dearborn. Muslims, Christians, and Jews deciding that they're going to stand up and they're going to fight back. I don't agree with you. You're a Muslim. I don't agree with your faith. We have differences of opinion. We have differences of beliefs. But you know what I believe in? I believe you have the right to believe what you believe. And I believe you have the right to practice it. And I believe the governor of a state, talking about prayer in general. I remember when I showed the video from what happened in Dearborn and the 1,300 people showing up and the men that were down on the floor praying, the Muslims who were down on the floor praying before they entered the building. I remember how I talked about how powerful that was. You know, I have never been critical of people practicing their faith. The only faith Democrats want you to have is faith in the party, faith in government. And if you veer from that, you're the radical, you're the extremist. They're coming after you. That's why you can see, you can look at the comments. You can look at the comments that are coming in this morning. Vile, vitriol. That's all it is. It is just absolutely, it's insanity. One of the women who retweeted what I said earlier, she said, look, they're coming after the Christians next. And I said, no, not next, now. They are coming after anyone of faith now. You know, one of the things that I've noticed, and I've had these conversations with people over the last year or two, people have stood up in times when others aren't. I started to notice a trend. In fact, I talked to Dr. Peter McCullough when we did the podcast and had an interview with him about this. And he's never openly talked about it, but I could sense it. And I said, Dr. McCullough, why are you standing up? Why are you fighting? I get a sense that there's some sort of faith issue here that compels you to do this. And he said, yes. And he went on to talk about his faith and that he's a Christian and why it matters. But you see, folks, they can't silence you if you serve a higher calling. They cannot silence you if you serve something not of this world. If you serve money, if you serve your career ambitions, if you serve attention, if you serve whatever it might be, ambition of power, you want to run for governor, or whatever it might be, if you are serving those things, they can easily silence you. Because it can easily take those things away from you. That's the common thread that I've seen in everyone who has stood up and said no to this insanity. Look, if they can tell you that a biological boy should be in the locker room or the bathroom with your daughter and that he should play sports against your daughter, they could tell you Biden got the most votes in the history of any president, and they could tell you you should take this jab and that it's perfect for you and there's no problems, and don't ask questions. Anybody who asks questions isn't following the science, and of course they're a denier. And if you ask questions about the election, you're an election denier. So that if they can get you to just give in on one little thing, they can get you to give in on everything. They can get you to say up is down, right is left, back is forwards. It doesn't matter. They can change and literally have changed the definition of any word in the meaning of any phrase or anything at any moment. Because your foundation isn't built on the rock. Your foundation is built on sand. I do not care if they take it all away from me, if I am no longer able to somehow come on and do this job. This is the call that I'm fulfilling right now. I've had it all. I climbed the ladder of success. I got to the top and I was pushed off at one point. And it was one of the greatest gifts that I could have ever received, because you know who caught me? I fell into the arms of Jesus. No one else was there to catch me. My job wasn't there to catch me. Actually, they pulled the rug out from me. I had checked all boxes. Oh, man, I was doing everything that I was supposed to be doing. I was climbing the ladder to success. I was doing it all. Everything that the world promises you. Everything the devil promises you is a lie. It's all temporary. None of it means anything. So at the time, I was addicted to my career. I was addicted to climbing the ladder of success. And at that point, like I said, it was the greatest thing that could have happened to me. Because when it was all taken away, I had a choice. I could run back up the ladder and try to go fight for it again. And I was offered. Man, was I offered some big, big things. Hey, yeah, I know you just lost this job. Dream job. Working in the big city, doing big time radio. Hey, I know you just lost this one, but hey, here's another job. In fact, it pays more. It's in a bigger city. And, I turned down several jobs. And I came back here. I came back home because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I didn't want to do what I was doing because I had always needed it for some reason to sort of fulfill something. I think there was a wound, there was a hole, there was just some sort of cavern. I tried to fill it with lots of craziness. And I think at one point I tried to fill it, like I said, with my career. But all that stuff is meaningless and none of it works. It may work for a time, but then eventually it loses its shine. And you find out it doesn't really do much. It's shallow. It's hollow, most of it. So when God called me back here and to do talk radio the way I'm doing it now, he didn't originally call me to do what I'm doing now and as bold as I'm doing it now. He just brought me back here. He works in steps. You don't see the whole path, but he brought me back here and I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I didn't really want to necessarily do all of this, but it was, it was a good situation. It put food on the table and allowed me to do a lot of different other things, allowed me to have free time. And he gave me the ability to grow into who I am today. And then eventually 2020 happened. And I find myself sitting in this position, in this seat. I find myself sitting right here looking at the world and going, the news just reported this. Governor Whitmer just came on TV and said this, but we know this. What the heck is going on? What is happening? So I started questioning it all. And I decided I'm going to stand up and I'm going to tell the truth. Even in a time when it could have been, it still is kind of in some ways, dangerous to do so. Oh, it could be risky. Don't do that. That's risky. Folks will tell you, don't do that. That's risky. Don't tell the truth. That's risky. Don't stand up. That's risky. Folks, do you understand the risk and what is at stake if we don't? Do you have a clue what happens if we don't? If we don't, it's all lost and forever. The stories that are just now coming out, the truth just now seeing the light of day. Eventually, the truth does find its way into the light. You will see it. It will make its way out. It's just, you cannot hold it forever. It's finally making its way out. The things they wanted to cancel you for, would have fired you for, I stood my ground and I will continue. And I pray that God gives me the strength and the courage to continue to do that. Now is the time to speak. Now is the time to stand up. Now is the time to rise to the occasion, rise to your call. Whatever it is that you are called to do, you will be attacked. But I've read the Bible and I haven't had to deal with anything nearly as bad as what's in the pages of the Bible. Jesus said, he said that you follow me, they're going to come after you. So he paid the price. Paid the price for me. I don't deserve it. I could never earn it. But the least I can do, the least you can do, the least what we can do is stand up for such a time as this and take whatever step is our next step. Stand up and start walking. Well, It's easy to say, but God will provide. We don't always know what answer he will give, but it will be his will. Folks, I will tell you, and thank you for that, TK. Wrote that over on Rumble. My life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. I face challenges on a daily basis. Every day. But I know because I've seen it before. He always has a way of just making things work. Making things work out. He's done it before. He'll do it again. Yep. That's where my hope, my joy, my faith come from. So when we read the headlines, by the way, I know they certainly seem dark. We are in a season that definitely feels a bit like winter. But I will continue to tell you the truth, which is have hope. God is still on the throne. Yep. It is the truth, no matter what they try and tell you. So, look, I talk about these things, folks. It's very important to me, but sometimes I just feel led to share with you where I'm coming from, so you know a little bit more about who I am, and hopefully a little bit more about who God is and what he's done. And that's what matters most. Let's take a quick moment to pray here, and then get into our Rona report. Father, we thank you so much for everything you do. We know you're on the move. We see it happening every day. These elections are so important. We'd ask that you to raise up the right people at the right time, that they would hear your call, that they would be given the strength and the courage to walk out whatever it is that you've laid before them. We need those folks, the right people at the right time for such a time as this. And we thank you that you are moving through them throughout our state and our nation, with just days left to go now between today and the election. We pray that you would elect the right candidates, raise the right folks up to help fight them, to help them get into office and to defeat these proposals, Lord. We ask you for your grace and mercy on our state, our nation. We turn to you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. 21 days of prayer. If you want to be a part of this and find the former prayers, you can see some of the most recent at justinbarclay.com/prayer to get involved. It's a Rona report for the high priest of health himself. Yes, St. Anthony of Wuhan, Mr. Booster, Tony Fauci. And we've got some really interesting news today. A couple of different things. I should probably start with the 7 warnings of a deadly winter coronavirus from the Washington Post today. Tens of thousands, they report, tens of thousands of Americans could die needlessly this winter. And here's why. People aren't getting their shots. They're not getting their booster shots.
Let's get back to normal.
It's your fault. People could die. It's your fault because you haven't gotten the shot, folks.
Let's get back to normal.
What's being done? The Biden administration urging vulnerable people to get reformulated boosters, the Washington Post reports, and plans to offer free delivery of antiviral medicines via DoorDash services. They say people aren't going to, they're not getting their booster shot. It could cost 30 to 70,000 lives because of you selfish, well, I won't use the word in that context, but you selfish people who won't get poked. Who can get the boosters now? Oh, anyone 5 and over, but very few have gotten it. And I wonder why that is. It's purely must be because they're selfish and they don't realize that, again, they could kill grandma if they don't run out and get boosted. Come on, man. New York, a county court reinstated New York City employees fired for being unjabbed. Plus, they're entitled to back pay. That's the story making the rounds this morning, and I think very quietly being reported. I don't think it's possible to overstate the importance of this story. Now, it's part of the court process, so it's not completely done. It will be challenged. But this story is important, and, I don't know. I know they didn't report it on our news here on the radio station this morning. I don't know that you're going to hear this anywhere else. It'd be dangerous if you did. I will tell you that much. A New York court ordering on Monday the reinstatement of New York City employees fired for being unjabbed and also ruled they are entitled to back pay. Following the court's ruling, an appeal was filed Tuesday with the state's appellate division. The court granted a petition against Democrat New York City Mayor Eric Adams and other city officials and departments, saying the citywide mandate requiring public employees to get the jab as a condition of their employment, the Fauci, Ouchie, the hokey pokey, while later exempting athletes and performers. Remember, because they did. They say these city employees have to get the jab, but athletes and performers, they're different. Apparently, the Rona doesn't spread as bad with them. It's just like the rules, that it only spreads at the gas pumps. It only spreads when you're in a boat that has a motor on it and not a rowboat, according to Governor Whitmer. Or a kayak or a canoe. That's the problem. It only spreads in your boat. In fact, her husband can get his boat out as quick as he wants to, and there's no issue there. It only spreads when you're together with your people, not when she's sitting maskless at a bar with her friends in Lansing. It only spreads when you want to go visit grandma, not when she decided to leave the state like she told everyone else not to do, to go to Florida to visit her dad. Governor Gavin Newsom, the same sort of hypocritical ideology and actions during the pandemic as well. So they've been called out. This is just an incredible ruling. The mayor in March said the exemption was needed because New York City, heavily reliant on tourism, has to function. Oh, it has to function. Well, what about my health? Does my body need to function as well? What if I decided not to get the jab? No. See, the problem was always about picking winners and losers. The government never should be able to do this. And what about the military? Great point, Dana. What about those brave men and women who were booted? In fact, Biden tried to boot one of those guys that was a hero. He called the guy a hero. A brave Coast Guard worker who saved people during Hurricane Ian. Because he's unjabbed, though, he'll be kicked out of the Coast Guard. Apparently, we don't have a need for heroes anymore around these parts. That story is one of the biggest, and you're not hearing much about it, are you? Sudden and unexpected. That'd be a great idea for a website, wouldn't it? Sudden and unexpected. All of these stories. Just horrific. Sudden and unexpected. Ash Carter, who served President Barack Hussein Obama's final defense secretary, has died. His family has said he was 68. Carter, who led the Defense Department from February 2015 to January 2017, suffered a sudden cardiac event on Monday in Boston. His family said in a statement, a sudden cardiac event. A lot of those happening lately. In leading the Pentagon, Carter oversaw the final years of U.S. involvement in Afghanistan under Obama's presidency and U.S. efforts to combat the rise of ISIS, yada, 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 etc. Sudden and unexpected, folks. Nothing to see here. Speaking of sudden and unexpected, apparently there was a few the other day that we just went through and talked about. How about the sudden and unexpected death of a radio host out of the UK? They call them presenters there. Wait. Melissa says, my first question is, were they jabbed? Yeah, I don't know. And they never tell you in these stories. Isn't that interesting? Leslie Jordan, that's a good question. Yeah. He died suddenly and unexpectedly because of a health event that caused him to have a car crash. Suffolk, UK. Radio host Tim Goff, 55, was an hour into his radio program, Gen X, when the music suddenly and unexpectedly stopped playing halfway through Gray Day by Madness. Tim had a fatal heart attack in the middle of his show. I guess if you're going to go. Remember that young man who died singing in the middle of his high school solo, the high school choir solo? He died suddenly and unexpectedly. The station's automatic backup system took over after a short period of dead air. I bet this would be bigger news, he says, if there weren't so many other sudden and unexpected celebrity deaths lately. Coffee and COVID's Jeff Childers writes, go ahead, corporate media. Keep pretending like nothing unusual is going on. Maybe Tim just had too many potato chips or too many hot showers or too many cold showers or something. Whatever it was, I'm sure it wasn't sharp. With something pointy on the end. People waking up. Little by little, they're waking up. Coffee and COVID's Jeff Childers does a deep dive, in fact, today. I won't go into all of it, but he does a deep dive into because he's an attorney and he's fighting, particularly in these cases, for these issues. He talks a little bit about what happened in New York. He said yesterday, New York's Richmond County Supreme Court ordered workers who'd been fired for being unjabbed to be reinstated with back pay, explaining being jabbed does not prevent an individual from contracting or transmitting COVID-19, and adding that the mandates are really more about compliance and public health. He breaks it down, saying, first, the court found the city's shot mandate was irrational because employees were allowed to keep working right up until they were terminated. Secondly, then the court observed what I've said from the beginning, the emergencies are by definition, quote, temporary and short-lived. Then the court noted that we all know, that the mandates don't make any sense because the shots don't protect other workers since they don't prevent transmission of the virus. Finally, the court ground any remaining shreds of the mandate's justification to dust, noting that the mandates have never made sense as an issue of safety. You can read through all of it. He goes piece by piece. Biden yesterday, busy, as I told you he would be yesterday. I reported that he would be getting his booster. Now, a lot of people haven't been getting their boosters, but apparently Biden got his yesterday. I don't know if you saw any of the video from this. I'm sure it was pretty pointless and uneventful.
It's a necessity to deal with making sure it doesn't come on.
What's your reaction to the Saudis on oil urging the U.S. not to use reserves?
Sir, do you think it was a mistake for New York to withdraw its mandate for vaccines?
Say again?
Do you think it's a mistake in New York to withdraw vaccine mandates by employers?
No, I don't think. That's a local judgment. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Well, they're asking all kinds of questions. He's getting that done, aren't they? I do realize, I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday he said again, well, just the other day, he said, hey, by the way, this is not, this pandemic is over. Well, yesterday he was out there saying that it's an emergency. Even after he said just there in that clip, we've got to do this so that we can stop it from becoming an emergency. That's literally what he said in that clip we just watched.
Some of our friends in Congress say we don't need COVID funding, or they say there's really no reason that the government should be paying for it. I strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. This is a global health emergency. If we really want to put COVID behind us, we have to keep up the fight together.
So it's a global health emergency now. The pandemic was over just a while ago. There's a Shah. There's Dr. Fauci in the back. There's Vivek Murthy. Now, I don't see Dr. Rochelle Walensky in this photo. Do you see CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky? Do you see the head of... oh, I forgot. She's got COVID. After how many shots and boosters, I don't know, but she's got the COVID. She's tested positive, so she wasn't able to make it apparently yesterday for the press opportunity. Now remember, he just said the pandemic is now it's an emergency once again, but he just literally said that the pandemic is over.
Mr. President, first Detroit Auto Show in 3 years.
Yeah.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it.
Pandemic is over. Now, they raced out to clean up on aisle Biden. They raced up to clean it up after he said that because they go, well, maybe it's not exactly true. Pennsylvania Senate candidate John Fetterman, who suffered at least one stroke after his jabs, we don't know because of it, but it was after his jabs, debated Dr. Oz on live TV last night, and it was a train wreck. I played you some of this. He had a hard time making his way through even a sentence. It was hard to watch. I felt bad for him, and quite frankly, I felt bad for everyone watching, thinking, why are they propping this man up? Why are they allowing him to be out there? And this is, again, just like when you watch Biden, sometimes you think this is some sort of abuse, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Hi. Good night, everybody.
What?
No, here's what I think we have to fight about inflation here right now. That's what we need to fight about inflation. And I believe that, again, my doctors, the real doctors that I believe in, they all believe that I'm ready to be served. That's it. He got his Pennsylvania house from his own inlays from a dollar.
Mr.
Oh, I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
This clip goes on and on and on. I don't think that you can make heads or I can't make heads or tails exactly what he's trying to say. But there's Fetterman last night. They've got him propped up finally. But I will say this. At least he came out to debate. We got Dana Nessel, who still refuses to debate. Attorney General candidate Matt DePerno. We've got Hillary Skolton, who's running for Congress here in Michigan's 3rd District, Peter Meyer's old seat, freshman congressman who voted to impeach Trump. John Gibbs is running to replace him. Skolton will not debate. She won't come out and debate. At least this guy, he survived the stroke, and at least he came out. speaking of those debates, there's news on that I'm going to share with you in just a little bit. But first, the watch party live from Philadelphia. Cuomo talks, Chris Cuomo of all people. Yes, he's got a show now on News Nation. Have you watched any of this? Anyway, News Nation is where he landed. And he's asking people about their thoughts on the performance there last night in PA. Listen to what they say.
So I was definitely, I'm an independent, by the way. I was definitely leaning towards Fetterman, and I think I have totally changed to the Oz side.
Why?
I felt that
why?
I felt that Fetterman just looked like he didn't have command of the facts. I do think his condition, unfortunately, is going to affect his ability to do.
This guy's putting it very kind. He didn't have command of the facts. He didn't have command of his own tongue, sir. It's very sad.
The job. I thought Oz was pretty clear on the issues, and I thought he presented himself well and definitely threw out some plans where I didn't see any plans coming out of Fetterman. So I would.
There you go. There you have it. Some of the folks standing up and saying how they reacted. I mean, it's Cuomo's. Oh, really? You're an independent? So there, I think independents maybe did watch the debate. I think they were paying attention. Here in Michigan, did anybody watch the debate at 7:00 last night? Anybody pay attention to the debate last night? No, I think a lot of people, these debates that are such a time anyway, I don't know that a lot of people actually get to see them. They may hear about them afterwards. But if you were in the Whitmer camp or if you were in the Dixon camp, you're still in those same camps today. Nobody swayed from there. But I do believe independents were able to watch and make some distinctions and probably get the answers that they were looking for last night. I would say that probably was part of the reaction from last night's debate. Although, like I said, these debates, you just don't know who's watching, how much it actually matters, and whether or not it really even makes any bit of difference. So that is all part of the conversation today, folks. Stories that you just won't hear anywhere else. Some of the things we're looking at tomorrow, big announcement when it comes to debates. Make sure that you're with us tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We will unload a big announcement for you. You're going to want to know about, you're going to want to hear tomorrow morning. Be back here with us on News Radio 1300 to 106.9 FM, the iHeart Radio app, and also right here, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Getter, Rumble, all of the usual suspects. We'll have it all for you. Lots to cover, as always. Appreciate you being here with us. You can support the program at any time. If you want to go to justinbarkley.com, a sale is on. $10 off all of the hoodies in the store right now. You get some great hoodies. We got One Nation Under God. We've got the Donkey Pox hoodie. The I Need New conspiracy theories, all of mine have come true. They're all on sale right now for about $10 off every hoodie. Just use coupon code FALL, FALL. Available in the store at justinbarkley.com. We appreciate the support. Anytime you buy anything, anytime you support one of our sponsors, folks, you help make this program possible, and we appreciate you for that. God bless. Folks, I want to tell you about mentality. Gentlemen, you've been having some issues. Maybe you're suffering, I don't know, some muscle loss or weight gain. You've been struggling through it. I get it. I understand. I know how it is as we age. Maybe even the food we eat can contribute to these issues. It could be low testosterone. Maybe you got some irritability, some anxiety, some depression. Well, you can get some help. Mentality is here to help. There are local healthcare facilities specifically dedicated to helping men feel and perform at their very best. Yep, they've got FDA-approved testosterone treatment, board-certified physicians who work with most insurance to help get the job done. They'd love to help you today. Find out how you can get the help you deserve for your family so you can be the man you need to be, the husband for your wife, the father for your children, and of course, show up in your calling at the workplace or wherever it is that you are. Go to lowtusa.com. That's low, the letter T, USA.com. Go to lowtusa.com today and take your life back.